So why does employer branding matters? When you try to scale a business and when you start a business and start growing it to a certain point, just adding new people, new partners, new vendors, new clients, you need to kind of scale at a certain pace. And this pace is going to incrementally be faster and faster and faster over time because, whenever a kind of fast growing business is growing 100%, 200% year over year, that very same percentage for a 5-person company is, 10 people or 15 people or whatever. But the same percentage for 50-person company means you're adding, another 50 people or 100 people to your organization. So that's just kind of a rough ballpark for you to understand kind of what the scalability means over time. And at some point of time, whenever you're kind of starting out, you may be able to find a client or two and even, be able to sufficiently supplement what you want to do for a living and add up a little bit on top of that in order to be happy with what you're making up on top of your business. But when you start scaling, when you start adding more people and kind of just growing as a business, increasing your revenue, this means that you need to have a reliable way to add additional resources and be able to supply customers and build partnerships and make sure that the brand awareness is in place. So that's why employer branding is so important, because again, if you need to find one great person to add to your team, it may not be easy, but come on, it's just one specific person. After all, out of the entire planet, you would be able to make that happen. But at the same time, if you have to add 100 people over the course of 6 months or so, now that gets extremely way more complicated than it used to be, with the one-person example. So that's why businesses need to scale. And scaling happens through employer branding, because an employer branding means that the business has the reputation in place to be able to sufficiently grow over time without facing obstacles in scaling in any way possible, be it through employees, partners, vendors, automating process, whatever it is. Otherwise, you may delay the future of your business one way or another simply because you can't find the resources fast enough, because nobody knows you and nobody is kind of knowledgeable enough to know what you're doing. Nobody's interested in what you're doing in the first place, and so on, which is a really bad rap in the first place, right? Because you have to do all the heavy lifting yourself. You have to convince people, you have to go to conferences, attend events, and kind of talk to your network so that they can talk to their network and the network of their network and everyone else in between. So it's really inefficient if you design it in this way, more or less. So that's why employer branding is important. And moreover, employer branding means two things: the branding of the company and the branding of the leadership of the company. And I'm not even talking entirely and solely about the founder or the founders, but I'm talking about the founders and the senior managers, VPs, the team leads and tech leads even, or whoever it is in a leadership kind of position, whoever it is in charge, including HR. Everyone should have a branding which is compatible with the brand of the organization itself. That's why it's called employer branding. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have an organization which is 2, 3, 5 people, this is something that you really need to consider in the long run, because if your business makes sense, if your business is about to grow over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're soon going to reach to a point where your scaling is going to be blocked, or it's going to be postponed, or it's going to be kind of throttled by the limitation of your brand at scale. Otherwise, again, it's going to be way easier for clients to just identify with yourself and just say, oh yeah, of course, I know this brand, I've seen them all the time, they're pretty much everywhere, so closing a deal is going to be a no-brainer, or just signing up 100 other customers is going to be a no-brainer. But same goes for hiring, and recruitment is one of the most important bits for a business, because a successful a great business idea, a great product, a great solution, a great service is the one that is in demand. It means that your customers are happy and they know other people who need you in the very same way, who need you to deliver the same type of quality, the same type of work. So your kind of work is growing by itself, but you can't just add the very same people to the business, because as you're scaling, you need to hire, like on top of, like if you're a marketing agency, you're going to hire marketing people, of course. If you're an SEO agency, SEO people, which is kind of the same, but if you're a dev agency, more developers. If you're a creative studio, more designers. But at the same time, with that very same kind of idea, you need to hire technical leader or team leads or project managers, account managers. Then you need to hire probably more people in accounting or deal with HR, so hire more people in HR because you need to scale faster. So, you know, the entire process is growing because you're adding new layers to the organization. That's why you need more people. It doesn't mean that you only need to hire the people who are going to do the job. But when you have, you know, 5 designers, you can have one kind of team leader or creative lead or something like that handling those 5 designers. But if you hire 15 more, that means 20 designers. So you probably need another couple of team leaders in the creative department who are going to take charge of that. And then you need to have a senior creative design officer or something like that dealing with that. And then you probably need, again, an HR representative who is looking for those kind of design people and so on. So it suddenly gets a little bit more complicated when you start scaling up, and you need to start scaling up with the right processes introduced by the right kind of leadership levels within your organization. So that's why empower branding is so important. Again, empower branding is the branding of the company founder or founders and senior management, all the leadership VP positions, and the company itself. And empower branding is important for the right scalability of the business, for sustainability, for growth, for transparency, for bringing the core of the business to the mass, to the public, being a kind of public company in the sense of being, again, transparent and visible and reachable and understandable by other people, because that transparency builds trust, and that trust helps you scale through landing new business, landing partnerships, onboarding the right people to your business. That's why empower branding is so important.